Hello and welcome to the first of 4 sessions of Hearts of Wulin here on the Gauntlet Hangouts. And Hearts of Wulin is a hack of various Powered by the Apocalypse games, attempting to simulate certain kinds of Wulin dramas. The most obvious touchstone is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that film. But a lot of my love comes from a whole series of Chinese soap operas, martial arts soap operas like Laughing in the Wind and The Handsome Siblings and Flying Fox of Snowy Mountain. There are a whole series of these. These are soap operas that are based on pulp novels in a lot of cases from the 50s and 60s in China, a whole history of those. Which in turn are based on earlier Wulin sort of fantasy stories in China. So this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. This is an online gaming community. We have like about 100 or so games on the calendar right now for January. It is a community that also includes blogs, includes podcasts, it includes a monthly zine. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. I do want to mention here, I've played with a couple of people here before, and I know that others are veterans of this. The Gauntlet uses basic safety tools in all of its games. I use the X card that is on the table. It is a fairly simple approach. It's not maybe the best, but it is one that is easy. Is everyone familiar with the X card here? Okay. Just for those that at home might be watching, this is a system for marking material that is objectionable, is problematic, also marks things where something goes wildly off tone, those kinds of issues that occur at the table, because for people that probably haven't played that much together before, it's a tool for marking that. If we do X card it either visually or people say in the chat, or the roll for your party thing that we have also has the ability to do X card. We'll edit past. I may ask you for the frame of that. If we hit something that at first you're like, I'm okay with that, and then later on you're not, it is fine to X card it later on, even if it's occurred earlier. That's not a problem. I do want to stress that the game that we're playing is a fantastical version of China, and it is very much third hand. I am super white, having watched translated shows that are from Hong Kong that are remakes of stories, so it's fourth, fifth hand here. But I love these, and I want to treat them with affection. So we're going for a love of these kinds of stories and not a parody. With that in mind, I'm just going to talk briefly. I've given the players a sheet going over some of the elements of the setting. I want to just briefly touch on some of those points to talk about the kind of game that we are playing. This is, as I said, a fantastic version of China. The characters can do fantastical things. They can make great leaps. They can cut through things you wouldn't expect them to. They can run across the tops of roofs. All of these things that we see, they're all skilled martial artists. But in this particular version of the setting that we're doing, there's no sorcery per se. People believe in sorcery. People believe in superstitions, ghosts, and things like that. And those may be out there in the world, but that's more of a thing that people are afraid of than it being an actual thing in play. Our world, the world that we operate in, is called the world of the Wulin. It is a society outside of normal society. They have their own sort of rules of justice and honor and so on. Somewhere the emperor is off in the distance. That imperial authority is in the distance. There may be local imperial authorities, but where we're at, our world of the Wulin is organized around groups and factions and clans and sects that have their own agendas and do battle with one another. This is a melodrama, So emotions are heightened. We focus on emotions. We focus on entanglements and romance and stories like that. And yet within that, characters have a very hard time expressing their emotions. If you want to go and tell someone you love them, you're going to talk around that. That's the hard part of this, is actually getting through to say those things. People keep things inside. As Patrick said in our last game, we did a 12 session thing of Hearts of Wulin, and he said if any of us had been able to like talk to one another, the plot would have been solved super early. But no one could bring themselves to tell each other their secrets. You'll see when we get to it, we have entanglements. Those kind of drive the story. They are triangular relationships between you and two other people, and they can include player characters. Those are going to be really the heart of defining who your character is. There are a few other things. Disguises always work unless a player character is impersonating someone specific. And then there's a role. But usually people can have just put on a fake mustache in these stories and suddenly they look like a different actor. It's one of my favorite little bits from it. So what we're going to do is today we're going to be doing character creation for about the first half. And then we're going to do some of the basics, then we're going to do introductions, and then we're going to entanglements. We'll take a break after that, and then we'll get to play. And I may hard frame you into some situations at the start just to get us rolling into things. So I just want you to be aware of that. Are there any questions before we move to character creation? Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our spreadsheet, and I've got far too many tabs here, and I'm going to apologize for that. 3 of the tabs at the bottom are CC Basics, and then I have CC2, the playbooks, and then CC3, the entanglements. If you look at CC1, Character Creation 1, the basics, we're going to walk through the first 4 steps. I'm going to let all of you go through and take a look at those and make those decisions. Want to talk briefly about what each of those are. Look and name is obvious, but I do have, if you're wondering, some example names under the Factions and Names tab, just to help you out, to give you some ideas for that. Style is your fighting style. And you're going to choose what kinds of weapons you work with. Everyone is by default knows how to fight unarmed, but you're going to choose a weapon that is your hallmark, and you're going to give it a name. You're going to name your style. Your stats are your chi. There are 5 elements for your chi, and we have a set of stats just like other PBTA games. You're going to assign those. One of the things about this game is, like the Veil, you will choose usually which stat you want to roll with based on how you're doing something, how you're feeling about something. And the last thing, and this is me finally stopping talking. There are 6 playbooks. You'll go through, you'll pick a playbook. Each playbook has 3 roles. For example, under the Aware, there's the Master, the Scholar, and the Traveling Sifu. You'll choose a playbook, you'll choose a role, and that will give you a role move, and then you'll choose 2 more moves from that playbook. And if anyone has any questions about what these moves mean or what these characters are like, feel free to ask that. But otherwise, I'm going to let you get thinking. Ideally, we would like everyone to choose distinct playbooks. Their overlap is possible, but let's start by getting a sense of what people might like. Sabine, what were you thinking?
I was actually thinking about playing a loyal swordsman, because that's kind of the basic thing, or maybe a traveling Sifu, some kind of wise dude who's running around and giving everybody advice that doesn't mean a lot of things, or that might mean too many things.
So you're thinking of the loyal or the aware. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are good picks. Jim?
I've had Wing Chun in my head lately.
Okay.
So the idea of a woman who owns owns a restaurant, or like works in a, like a noodle house or a tofu restaurant by day, but has secretly trained in the martial arts, and maybe uses her abilities to break up fights in the restaurant and stuff like that, but surreptitiously, so that nobody knows how good she is. I think that would be fun. So a hidden unorthodox is what I was thinking of.
All right, let's put that down. Alejandro, what were you thinking?
Well, based on our conversation, which was done last night, both half asleep and whatnot, I was thinking outsider trickster.
Ooh, okay.
With the, I know we're not talking about factions yet, but you mentioned righteous, ambiguous, and unrighteous, but then there's also a destroyed. So I was wondering how that played into it. So we can have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think trickster's a good one. We can work out which of those factions you're connected to. But yeah, that seems good.
Okay.
Ludo?
So it seems like Jim, I had culinary thoughts. So my idea was to play a student, a master cook that decided that he was at the limits of his abilities, and put on his head that learning Kung Fu was the secret to become better at every skill, including cooking.
That seems fair. Jimmy, you're good with that kind of parallel here?
Oh yeah, that makes for some fantastic, I see entanglements between the two of us right away with that. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, that seems good. So Sabine, then which of those two that you mentioned do you want to lean into?
I'm not sure. I think I want to go with the traveling Zifu. That would be the one who wanders around and gives everybody advice, like the eagle is envious of the snake because the snake is closer to the ground. Remember that the ground is your footing, or something like that.
Absolutely. I think that's
Cool.
That's a great one. Sure.
Okay, cool. All
right, so I'm going to leave everyone to go and start putting things in. Pick one of the columns in the character sheet, and you can copy and paste things over. I'm going to be here. If you have questions, go ahead and hit me up. I'm going to mute myself otherwise.
So I've watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I absolutely love that film. I've briefly watched some films that are not briefly. It's been a long time since I've watched some of the types of films that you described. But my language is not of that language, Is it fine if I do Western language? I'm fully happy to be corrected at any point.
Sure. In what sense? In terms of descriptions, or what do you imagine? How are you?
Descriptions a little bit, but also like titles and like titles and roles and
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff.
We'll translate that through. That's not a problem.
Okay.
And certainly when my wife Sherry first played this, she had very much the same reaction of trying to find the foothold in terms of how you called things and what you name things and describing things. So yeah, that seems fair. Absolutely.
Okay, so outside of being in the emperor's court, what would be like the highest station somebody would have? Like, I'm thinking mayor. Like, that's kind of coming from old movie references and stuff like that.
Well, the classic one I hear that they use is someone is like a governor of a province.
Okay.
A governor would be the sort of official, and then for someone who's like a police official would be a magistrate.
Okay. Um, sorry for all my questions. How do you wrap the text?
Oh, so you choose the cell, and then you go up to Format, and under Text Wrapping, you'll choose Wrap.
Okay. And when do we discuss factions?
So what we'll do is I'll have everybody make up their do the sort of first 4 steps. Then I'll have people introduce themselves, and we'll kind of look at the factions at that point.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And the chi is earth, fire, metal, water, wood.
Yep. And for reference in terms of rolling again, you'll usually get to choose whatever chi you want to roll with the exception of when you actually fight with someone, you'll be rolling whatever chi, whatever element is associated with your style. And usually the style element kind of helps you describe, what it looks like when you actually do things. Is it flowing and graceful? Is it fast and precise? Is it about calculation? All of those kinds of things.
I've got a question. I'm thinking about the spear thingy, but with a broader and more elaborate blade at the top. I've seen this in wuxia movies, but I don't know what the name is.
The spear with the larger blade at the top.
Yeah.
Boy, I have to think about that. I know what it is in Japanese. Let me look that up while you're working. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
When you say blade, do you mean like a big axe blade, or like a naginata blade, like a sword blade?
Like a sword blade, like a naginata is the Japanese term for it. That's what I'm thinking about.
if I wanted my style to be one of hidden blades and poison and that kind of stuff, which chi should I choose?
Typically, that would be metal.
Okay.
I'll give everybody a few more minutes, and then we'll move to introductions. And once introductions are done, then we can look at entanglements. At risk of being a bad GM, I'm actually going to go and grab more coffee, and they'll be right back. Okay, we'll do another minute, and then we'll get rolling. And things you can fill other things in on the fly as you need to, so don't worry about that. And I think that, Sabine, that's pronounced Guandao, but that's probably a terrible pronunciation, given that my background's more in Arabic than it is in Chinese pronunciation.
Okay, I have no idea how to pronounce anything Chinese, so.
Yeah. It's great when I have Agatha in the game because she's very good at that. She knows that, and other people I've played with. All right. So I'm going to get started. So one of the things we're going to do is as I have you introduce your characters, I'm going to ask you, of course, leading questions, as we do with PBTA. We're going to try and establish a connection to some kind of faction, either one from the factions list that we have there on the factions and names tab, or one that you make up, and I'll ask you some things about that. Relationships to factions can be membership in, opposition to, have left. It can be complicated. I usually think of it like 13th Age has iconic relationships. In some ways, they serve a little bit of that purpose here. So Sabine, I'm going to start with you. Can you please tell us about your character?
I am playing Bao Wang. He is a scholar. He has long and flowing hair, which is white. He has this long mustache. He looks very distinguished. He has a lot of tattoos, but you usually wouldn't see them because he has them under his clothing, which he does not remove usually. He's a wandering scholar. He's traveling between monasteries of what I've just called the Water Falling Dragon sect. Whatever that is, I have no idea.
Sure.
And he is usually meddling where maybe he shouldn't.
And tell us about your style.
Well, my style is I have this Guang Dao, which is like a spear, but with a widened blade at the beginning, and it looks like dancing when he fights with it. It looks like he's dancing with this weapon, and it's very graceful, I think.
Flowing, moving along.
Yes.
How old would you say Bao Wang is?
It's hard to say, really. He has this white hair, which seems to me that he's quite old, but his face is oddly unlined, so I'd say in his 40s maybe, or 50s, or maybe he's younger.
That makes sense. In the Shaw Brothers films, we often see characters very young, but they have the white mustache and the white hair to signify their sage nature. And as a gifted scholar, you get the benefit to the study move. And what were the 2 moves that you took?
I chose that I'm a storm rider. That means once per scene, I may travel anywhere within line of sight. I'm jumping and then I'm there. Doesn't matter where.
And what's the other one?
The other one is the final master. When I declare a plan, I roll, and then I get some hold, and I can spend it on to give +1 forward, or to clear a chi, or produce needed items.
So let me ask you, this Water Falling Dragon sect, do you imagine that they are a religious sect, a scholarly sect, or are you just happen to be a scholar from them?
I think that's a kind of a scholarly religious sect, like a Buddhist sect, where they spend a lot of time meditating and wondering about the universe and the secrets that it holds and the secrets that the human heart holds, things like that.
Do you think that they get involved in the affairs of other Wulin clans, or they try to stay distant? How do you imagine that?
I imagine that they will say that they wouldn't stay distant, but if you study the human heart, sometimes you get entangled,
And Bao Wang, would you say respected, or merely one among many, or maybe an outsider within his clan, within the faction?
I think he thinks he's very well respected.
And do all of the members of the clan, of the faction here, sect, I'm going to say all the words until I get to the right one. Do you think all of the members are trained in the fighting arts, or is the fact that you have such skill unique?
I think it's pretty unique. These are more like scholars, and they will meddle in affairs. Oh, I mean, they won't, of course, they won't. But it's unusual, at least.
So how did that come? What is it about Bao Wang? Did Was it taught by the family? Were you taught by a stranger? Well, how did that come about?
I think it was maybe something from his family background when he was trained, and then he was given to the monks, and then he had a master there who saw that he might not be too bad at it, and he continued his training.
Okay, last question. Do you think yet that your skill is admired within the sect, or people go, ugh, about your skill?
Well, if you ask Bao Wang, he will say that they, of course, admire his skill, but if you look closely, they probably like, oh my god, that dude again with his weird weapon.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I am going to move on then. We'll come to entanglements in just a moment. If you want to take a look at those are, of course, on the CC entanglements tabs. I have curated some suggestions for entanglements based on the different playbooks. Those are just suggestions. There's a big master list off to the side. Everybody's going to pick one romantic and one general entanglement, but we'll come back to you on those questions once we know everybody at the table. Jim, I'm going to come to you next. Please tell us about your character.
All right. I am Ming Zhang. I've got braided hair, warm eyes, weary smile, scrubbed skin, an unassuming build, and working clothes. I run a tofu restaurant, and I am the keeper of my family's secret tofu recipe that is kind of famous across the province for being, the best tasting tofu that anybody can get anywhere. People will come from miles around to take it back to their village and stuff like this. And that recipe is handed down through the women of my family, and has been handed down for generations. And the women have basically secretly taught kind of their successive daughters and granddaughters a version of Kung Fu that is steadfast cookery is the name of the style, where we learn to use like cleavers and pots and pans and stuff like this to fight with in a way that we can have some deniability that we actually know real Kung Fu. But that lets us, like I say, if there's if some bandits come in deciding they're going to make trouble, we can deal with that. We can we can take care of business if we need to.
Excellent. There's some interesting things in that roll move there about how that can get changed. What did you take for your two additional moves besides your roll move?
So for my two additional moves, I went back and forth on this, but I think I have to take Everlasting Chivalry.
Okay.
Which is I have +1 when interacting with common salt of the earth folk. The kind of people who come by every day for to eat on their way to work, or who I'm dealing with as a business in the community. So +1 ongoing when interacting with common salt of the earth folk. So let me ask you a question. There's
Sure.
So I love the monkey fist floating snake move.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like, if I take it, will it come up often enough to make it worth doing? Because there's named foes. I don't necessarily want to take something if I'm only going to get to use it once every 3-4 sessions or something like that.
No, I think we'll probably see that more often than that. A named foe is basically anyone who is above the line of henchmen. Anyone that literally I gave a name to will be a named foe.
Okay.
So people on your scale, people above your scale. You may even meet some that are below your scale.
I really like that, the humiliate them comically. That's like kind of in keeping with the kind of cookery thing that we've got going on.
Absolutely.
So, you know, Taste of Cold Steel is cool for sussing out trouble in the restaurant, but I haven't seen that monkey fist floating snake used, so I would love to give it a try.
Yes, Sherry loves that move.
Okay.
Sherry loves that move. She adores it.
Yeah.
It's one of her favorites. So yeah, that's a great move. I love the steadfast cookery. I love that it is very much of the earth there. Is your mother then the one who taught you, or was it an aunt, or?
It's got to be my grandmother who taught me.
She's still around?
Yeah, I think she is. I think she's like, you know, the like ancient lady who sits in the corner and like never like you walk into the restaurant, she's always in the same spot sitting there. Like just like maybe playing mahjong with some other ladies that are her age, something like that. If that's not, I think that's not accurate. Even if it is anachronistic, we can have anachronisms.
We always see mahjong and Go are being played.
Yeah, she's in the back playing mahjong with 3 of her other ladies, and no matter what's going on, even if the place is getting busted up or something like that, like if you mess with her mahjong game, then like all bets are off, and I think everybody kind of knows that. So, but I think my mother like wanted nothing to do with it, and she's like she married off and like left, and so I'm kind of carrying on, and you know.
So raised by your grandmother then and taught this. Within the village that you're in or the town that you're in, are there people maybe that suspect, or is it kept very well hidden that you have these skills?
I think it's kept very well hidden. It's like the, you know, that salt of the earth thing. Like we all kind of look out for each other, and like the other villagers, like if I have to use kung fu or something like that, the other villagers will help like kind of spread rumors and stuff like that, and sort of like, you know, lay down other stories as to things that happened. You know, if I beat up a bunch of bandits, you know, like the rumor will spread that they were all drunk and got in a fight with each other and stuff like this. And I think there may be some of that in my style element where it's like, you know, people take a punch at me and I redirect it to someone else and stuff like that. So,
can I interject real quick?
Yeah, sure.
It almost sounds like the village is part of your weapon.
I mean, it's like they're not going to necessarily like help me like in the middle of a fight, but yeah, I think that's kind of why I took that salt of the earth move, is so that I can have some, you know, create some entanglements with some of the other common folk.
That's perfect. Now I'm going to ask you one last question.
Yeah, please.
Do you really want to be making tofu all your life?
I have to, because if I don't, then like generations of my, you know, what my family has done, like I couldn't possibly give it up while my grandmother's still alive.
Absolutely. So very much driven by that. All right, that's good. All right, we can work with that. Thank you. I'm going to come then to Alejandro, to your character. Please tell us about Delan Huao. Whoa, I'm going to say that. I'll let you say it, and then I'll say it like that.
Delan Huao.
Okay, tell us.
So Delan Huao is a beautiful. He's the I don't know if he's the governor or the magistrate of a province that the emperor. Okay, so I'm going to read the story.
Sure.
The emperor, due to the wishes of someone in this region, has wiped out, obliterated my province, and cursed the people who remain. Am I a ghost or a fool pretending to be from this lost province.
Oh.
And I seek vengeance against the emperor and that person of this province.
I think magistrate might be a better choice because it gives you a little more freedom to move. The governor would have, be kind of caught by responsibilities. Magistrate gives you a chance to work within the system against it and so on. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, but I'm trying to. So my role is outsider trickster.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want my character to kind of stick out a little bit. So I feel like maybe governor might be better because, like, why is this governor walking around the countryside by himself?
Okay.
And it kind of fits. I think it kind of fits in, like, with this. His province was destroyed type.
So you're effectively you're a former governor. The province was destroyed, and now the official who was leading it is out wandering. Is that what we're seeing?
I would never admit to being a former governor. No, I still remain. I'm still the governor. Please don't diminish my role. I don't appreciate that.
Okay.
He is beautiful. He has long, lustrous hair, porcelain skin, nondescript, imperceptible eyes. He wears an impeccable dress that sits above the office, rivaling the governor. I mean, rivaling like even the emperor. Like he's really trying to set himself as much as he can at the level or above the emperor.
Okay. Very much leaning into the finery.
Yeah.
Tell us about your fighting style.
It's called, I made it up, it's called the 9-pointed Iron Fist.
Okay.
But it is like his weapons are poisons and hidden blades. It is an assassin's, very subtle assassin's type of fighting style, like hidden daggers into the ribs, or poison in a teacup type.
So let me ask you this: we'll get to the moves that you picked. Why was your province destroyed?
Well, it was it was garnering some sort of fame for its like it was gathering more wealth and more it was almost outdoing or outperforming like the emperor, and
arts and craftsmen and so on, that sort of all of the luxuries. Okay.
Yeah. And Dylan fell in love with the emperor's cousin, and that was a huge risk to the emperor, because the emperor was in love with her also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, you have this very, very kind of dark fighting style. Is this something you've learned since the province was destroyed, or is it something that you had been taught before that?
No, it's been a life dedicated to vengeance after the fall of my province.
All right.
I would say that my province is it's rumored that the lands are cursed, everything's cursed, everybody's been wiped out. Nobody lives there, and it's all the like sinister rumors you could have go about that.
So when you say that you're from this province, people do gasp?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you take for your 2 additional moves? You've got the Trickster, which allows you to use hearts and minds nearly all the time. What are the other 2 that you picked?
The Imposter. My Dylan is androgynous, like almost completely. He can appear as anyone. He can in any gender, any way, he's just this master of disguise, to the point where I think that he doesn't even know what gender he is anymore.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Or like he's so committed to this vengeance, he doesn't even remember, like he's kind of lost in his own.
Changed your hairstyle so many times you don't know what you look like, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have Reign of Assassins.
Ah, yes. Yeah. The shadows and undetectability one. That's a good one. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to come back. When we go to entanglements, we'll probably see a little bit more about the province and the connections there. So we'll come back to you. Yeah. Ludo, please tell me about your character.
So I'm playing Bountiful Providence. He's a student. He was a master chef that was finding a limit to his skills and creativity. So he started to learn Kung Fu. So he abandoned his previous obligations. Now he's wandering the land looking for new masters.
And how old is Bountiful Providence?
I'll say late 20s, early 30s.
So still pretty young. Do you think that your fellow chefs admire this choice, or are they raising their hands in despair at you leaving to go and do this fool's errand?
I will say they see that more as an excuse that that I was not able to gain the patronage of a provincial governor or any other prestigious personage to associate myself to. So I'm coming up with this excuse for my failures.
And tell us about your fighting style then.
So my fighting style is the Festival of 1,000 Cats, because Bountiful Providence does not have a proper teaching or the traditions to follow, but he always been very skilled with knives. So the first sensei that they met on the road, they tried to harness this. So he has a lot of different techniques and combinations that are all very furious, fast, and kind of improvised. So the chaos and the noise earned one of the teachers to call it that way, and he loves the name, and he likes to unleash the festival of 1,000 cats on the people that expect a more orthodox fighting style.
I love that there's going to be someone out there with the style of a 1,000 cuts that will be offended that you've taken this name. And tell us what moves that you took.
So I took Face to Fate because it gives you a lot of things to play at the beginning if I fail, and it's very useful if I succeed, because then I get a weak success or a success that I can trade with any other player. So for that really important role. And Smiling Proud Wanderer, which lets me make a study question without rolling once per scene, which Absolutely. I think is very fitting for the concept of a wanderer.
That is a great one. There's a useful, and you've got Hopeful Apprentice, which allows you to fight someone above your scale but not immediately lose, because otherwise you do. So that is is awesome. I see you've got a nice balance set for your chi. Paired knives, like paired kitchen knives, or paired like fighting knives?
They are actually fighting knives.
Mm-hmm.
He has them among his set of cooking knives.
Okay.
It's the special part of the set for special occasions.
All right. So we are now going to move on to entanglements. The way this is going to work is I'm going to come to you. I'm going to ask you whether you want to do your romantic or your general. You'll choose. In at least one of those two entanglements, in at least one, a PC needs to be involved. And you can offer it out. And we'll check in and make sure that they're fine with that. Entanglements are the major way to generate XP at the end of session. And everybody has to have one romantic and one general. And if we haven't figured out when we come to you about which faction you're associated with, we can kind of try and work that in. So I'm going to go in the same order that I just did. So we come around full to Sabine. Bao Wang, do you want to do your romantic or your general first?
I would like to do my romantic first because I haven't chosen a general.
Okay.
By now. But I like the romantic entanglement that says a prophecy has kept and I apart. Is determined to make sure of that. I suspect that the two are not the same.
That's absolutely. So who is it that you're in love with? Is it another PC, or do you want to introduce an NPC? And we've got the factions and names list. If you want to do that, you can come up with someone else.
I don't know. I mean, there's. I could be in love with Ming Shang because, well, but of course the prophecy says we shouldn't be together because she has to keep the secret of the tofus, and I am a scholar and a monk, and I shouldn't be married anyway. So I don't. And would that be okay with you, Jim? Okay, cool. So yeah, that is the prophecy that has kept the two of us apart.
You can totally make it my grandmother who's determined to see to it that we stay apart if you want to do that.
Okay. What's your grandmother's name?
Bao Zhang.
Okay. Wait, she has the same first name than me? Like, it's me?
Oh, you know what? I wasn't even looking at yours. Hang on, sorry.
Sorry.
I just picked that. I just picked that out of the air.
Okay.
She is Jian.
Jian. Okay. Cool.
So let me ask you this to kind of get some sense of this entanglement. Do you? And this would be on Jim for the question. Does Bao know about your style?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No way. Way more fun if he doesn't. So
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I'm just that like the nice lady who makes that delicious tofu.
Yeah, yes, and I love your tofu, and I love coming to your inn, but I know that it has been prophesied to me that I should not go with the maker of tofu, and well, there's that. But I would never mention it. But somehow your grandmother knows.
Yes, and whether this prophecy is true or not, whether the grandmother put somebody up to it, or whether it in fact is a serious prophecy, that's something we can discover.
Oh,
awesome!
Play to find out for sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Then that brings us to Jim. For Ming, which do you want to do? Your romantic, or your general?
Let me do my general.
Okay.
Let me see. Just take a second here.
Sure.
I'm gonna say I believe my parent, who's my mother, has been seduced with evil intent by the emperor. Since we've got the we've brought the emperor into play, right? With Dellen Huo, right?
Well, so I think that is a question for Dellen. Is that something you want to bring on screen or a distant thing there? Let me ask you, Alejandro.
I'm happy to. Yeah, yeah. Conflict is interesting.
And it certainly doesn't need to be like the emperor himself. You know, he's in whatever in the Forbidden City, sitting on the throne. But you know, whatever his agents and stuff operating in the village certainly can.
Oh, so maybe actually the governor in this province.
Does that work?
That certainly gives us a rival there.
Dellen, is that good for you, or did you want, like, no kidding, the actual emperor himself to show up in the game?
Well, my Dellen definitely wants vengeance on the emperor. He wants to kill the emperor, and he wants to kill the person of this province that was the excuse the emperor used to destroy my province.
Oh yeah, definitely have this an evil governor locally. So then I'm going to need some names. What is your mother's name, and what is the name of this horrible evil governor?
I think my mother doesn't use the family name.
Okay.
So she is, give her some kind of like flower name. On your name list here, you've got Red Lotus Ling. I like that.
That's perfect. And the governor's name? At the table, I have a bunch of cards that I deal out with names, which is super helpful.
Yeah, that's great. He's Shadowed Saber.
Ooh, okay. That's a good one. Says something about his style. I like that. Awesome. We'll come back to you for your romantic. Alejandro, do you want to do your general or your romantic? You're muted.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So Dellen was in love with the cousin of the emperor, wants vengeance on everything. But I was kind of having this image of him coming through this town on his way to wherever, and possibly, if Jim is okay with it, that he fell inextricably in love with Ming. Yeah. And now doesn't know what to do with himself.
So, so what we're saying is, you know, I'm in love with Ming, but who's the other figure in the triangle that works against that we can see on screen?
Well, could it be? Maybe this is too tight, but let me go back to my. Could it be Shadowed Saber?
Yeah, my mother's married to him, so.
Yeah.
But Shadowed Saber, you know, won't allow it, or also desires Ming, or what?
Well, but I mean, he's in love. Let's say he's also in love with Ming.
Okay.
Despite the mother, I mean, we know that he's a horrible human being.
Yeah.
But he also, despite also being in love with Ming, wouldn't allow it given my past.
Absolutely. Okay.
Well, can I make a suggestion for like just too many people in love with Ming is gonna make it tough on me. But if you have sworn to kill not just him but his entire family,
oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
Then that means you've sworn to kill me.
That's good.
Because I'm his daughter by marriage, even though
Okay.
I want nothing to do with them and all that kind of stuff. That super complicates things.
Do you think? Let me ask you this then: does Delon know, or is that something you keep secret about that? What do you think, Delon? Would you know that she is the daughter, the technically the daughter of Shadowed Saber?
I don't think I know yet, because I'm just wandering in this town and I just suddenly saw her and fell head over heels. And oh shit.
Excellent. All right. Ludo, romantic or general?
Romantic.
Okay.
So I am wed to Sparkling Killing King, but I know they actually pine for someone. Now, who wants to be the romantic target of River Pirate Warlord?
Oh.
And I don't think it will be Ming again.
Me, I want to be the romantic target of the River Pirate Warlord.
I like that. So my husband is actually in love with Bawang. And I know.
He has very pretty Bawang, doesn't he? Has and he has very pretty hair.
Beautiful hair. This River Pirate. How long have you been wed to the River King here?
I will say since our late teens.
Okay.
Because I would say that is part of the wandering habits, is that he's from the Sparkling Killing clan, and also why he does not mingle well with the courts and the other cooks, because he comes from pirate people. So there is this kind of prejudice for that on that medium. So
do you think? I mean, are you kind of still in love with the king? I mean, do you feel obligations? Do you feel the obligations of marriage because you're out wandering, learning these things?
Yeah, I still have the obligations of marriage, but love kind of faded away, because it's like that was when I was a kid. I did not know any better. Now I've seen so much of the world, but still there is this obligation, and I'm still feel a bit betrayed if he acts on these sentiments.
Absolutely, and certainly the River King, probably have to get you out of the way if he was going to actually move forward. Okay, awesome. Then let's come back and swing back to Sabine for your romantic.
I have my romantic already. I need my general.
Oh, I'm sorry, your general.
Yes, I've just found something that I found more fitting. I've got to get the tabs right, so I'm clicking around like crazy. Okay, so I have allowed my friend's sibling to escape justice, and I think who I helped to escape was the Sparkling Killing King to escape from justice. So she's a woman, right? Her brother.
Sparkling Killing King, man or woman?
Man.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool. So I have, so I'm a good friend of his brother, who is has a more down to earth name. He is the he or she. Let's make her a woman. She's called Perfected Starfall, which is nice. I have allowed my friend Perfected Starfall sibling Sparkling Killing King to escape justice.
So you had the opportunity to bring the king to justice.
Yes.
and
But I
and
didn't.
because you know perfected Starfall, you let him go, and that was the moment, of course, that the River King fell in love with you when you let
Wait,
him go, right?
yeah, because I think because he thinks that I did it for him, but I, of course, did it only because perfected Starfall is kind of nice.
I like that, and we've got that seems perfect. I like how we're going with that. Let's come to Ming Zhang. Romantic.
Yeah. So Bountiful Providence is a woman.
Ludo?
No, he's a man.
So that's a so they're gay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, I was not clear on that, so that
Sure.
complicates things for me. Let me see.
Complication is good, Jim.
Yeah,
Embrace it.
that particular complication is not one that I want. Oh, you know what? This works.
Okay.
I think this works. I think Bountiful Providence has become jealous of the attention that Sparkling Killing King pays to me instead of them.
Okay. Good.
Does that work? Does that work for you?
That works.
Excellent. Okay.
That's perfect. All right. Which brings us to Alejandro. Let's get your general.
Okay, I'm kind of at a loss with the general.
Okay.
I'm not sure how, like, I'm not sure how to bring my story into conflict with either Bountiful or Bao.
And if you're you can do that. You can always just do NPCs. It's up to you how you want to build that. You've got at least one PC, Ming, in your previous one, so don't feel locked in there.
I do want to create some sort of entanglement with Bountiful because I don't feel like there is some sort of connection with Bao, definitely with Ming. I'd like to have some sort of connection with Bountiful that I can exploit or have exploited.
Well, I'll give you a suggestion. But, Bountiful is married to this river pirate,
Yeah.
right? So you could certainly suspect Bountiful of evil, but maybe then Ming Jiang, who you know, not Ming Jiang, Bao Wang, who believes in them or trusts them.
Mm-hmm. So in this society, women are lesser than men.
That would be in classical historical. However, we're not doing that.
Okay.
This is the gender roles and relationships are however we want to define them.
Okay. um, what if Delan believes that um, so the pirate king was used to infiltrate my province, and which was what led to its downfall.
Okay.
Um, and Delan knows that Bountiful was actually the mastermind behind that treachery, yet is confused by Bao's allegiance to Bountiful.
Okay.
Is that too convoluted?
No, but I think that kind of is a little more elaborate way of saying that.
Yeah.
It's certainly that you believe that Bountiful was behind that and confused by Bao's.
Oh no, I don't believe it. I know it. It's a fact.
Well, that's going to be a
Try to
question.
dissuade me of
Which
my
means you
conviction.
believe it. In a wuxia film, that means you knowing something for a fact means that we could find out that's not true, like at any point. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure on that. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Which brings us then, Ludo. You're going to take us out with your other entanglement.
So I have discovered that my friend has hidden their true power from me, but told another friend. Now, I think this makes sense with Ming because of how they are hiding their secret style. So, who would Ming tell this secret? That would be the other friend.
And that's very much on Jim because that sort of goes to the key point of his role there.
Yeah. So I think the thing that makes sense is for us to it's the person who owns the noodle shop. I think it would be another like cookery, like restaurant person. The person, the noodle maker in town knows my deal.
Okay. Ludo, give this master of noodles a name.
I will say it will be Pale Tiger.
Pale Tiger.
And that's also the name of his noodle shop.
Yes, it's a suspiciously Wulin name for a person who just runs a noodle
Yeah, weird. I mean, I guess that's why he's friend with two Wulin people or more.
And I love the idea that it's like the symbol is like an uncut sheet of noodles with a tiger like raking its claws down it to like make the noodles. That's kind of, I love that. Yeah.
So what we want to do here is last thing you're going to do is you're going to put in bonds, which means you're going to choose one of your fellow PCs to put their name in there and give them one bond, and then you're going to name your faction that you're related to or in opposition to or so on, and you're going to put a bond with them. Bonds are the mental currency that you can spend to give yourself a +1 on a roll after you've rolled. Essentially, you draw on that connection for good or ill, and you can create additional bonds in play. So I'm going to let you figure that out. What we're going to do is we're going to take about, let's see here, it's about that. We're going to take about 8 minutes for our break. And when we come back, I'm going to throw you into situations and we are going to get rolling. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. All right. All right. So we are going to get started, and I'm going to frame in a couple of parallel scenes here in pairs to kind of get the ball rolling. The role for your party is, I'll drop that copy into this. Before we get started, Ludovico, Ludo, you have a start of session move, right?
Yes, I have. I have face to face.
Okay, then let's have you roll that just so we know what exciting roll is on the table. This disrupted my plans in the last session of the last game. So
what is the roll for your party
oh,
link?
Geez, I put it in there and then I didn't hit return. Here we go. There you go.
Excellent.
So you get to mark XP. Normally you don't mark XP on a miss, but this one allows you to do that, to give you at least a little bit of payback. All right. So I want to start with Baweng and Delan. We are just going to call it the village. It's something of a town, but we're going to just call it the village for the purposes of this. And it is the village that happens to be nearby the governor's mansion, Shadowed Saber's mansion, so on, and their farmlands. And it is a large, prosperous village. And both of you have heard rumors over the last few weeks that something has surfaced in the Wulin world. A scroll that contains powerful techniques, a powerful style that has been lost. And that, whether wholly or in parts or stuff, you're not sure exactly what the nature of this is, how it surfaced, but that it has been moving in this area, that people are hunting for it, and in particular that Shadowed Saber, the governor, and the River King as well have been particularly hunting for this manuscript, for this scroll. And so let me ask Delan, what would you have been doing before matters and some drew you back to here? What was the most recent thing that you had been engaged in?
Well, I've been working my way to this province to seek my vengeance.
Well, then who was the most recent victim of your vengeance?
The cousin, the son, Shadowed Saber, who was on some just inspecting territory type bureaucratic nonsense.
So it just recently, and did you do it quietly? Do they know that it was murder, or have you hidden that fact?
It is known that I was there, and rumors are rising that I've returned. It is known that it was there, but his death is mysterious.
So the son of Shad Saber, from one of his first wives, has been killed. and word is only just now coming back, along with rumors of your attendance on this. So certainly, vengeance is primarily in your mind.
Yeah.
Bao Weng, what is it about this scroll and its power that has drawn you back here?
Well, first of all, it's a scroll that I don't know, so that's always interesting. And I think I had one of the monks in the monastery I was one of those waterfall mentioned that maybe quite obliquely that the water-falling dragons might be interested in having that scroll if it happened to be along my way when I was going to this village. And so,
they said somewhat knowingly, since they know that you have people there that you care for.
Oh yeah, it's that the village where Ming lives.
Right.
Oh yeah, then I'm totally happy to go back to that village. I'm hurrying, actually.
So, you know Delon. Delon knows you. We've established that, and you have been friends. We've kind of established that, and certainly we have this connection that you speak up for Bountiful Province, despite the what Delon feels. So you certainly have interacted with Delon since his province was destroyed. But when you see Delon traveling and and kind of I assume trying to make himself somewhat nondescript on the road into town, I assume, Delon.
Oh no, he's very descript.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the picture, that's what he looks like walking by himself.
Ah, okay. So yeah, Bao Weng, you see, despite rumors about him being destroyed, despite the general cursedness, despite you knowing that Shadow Saber does not dig him, you see your comrade Delon in his full finery. What do you think of that?
I've seen that before, I think.
Okay.
So I think he is kind of clinging to the past, but, well, he has to heal on his own time.
Do you greet him or let him go on his way?
No, I greet him.
Okay.
I mean, I know him. It would be impolite to not say good day. But I will leave him the option of hurrying along if that's what he wants.
Delon, how do you react?
I welcome Bao into my presence. I allow Bao is a woman, yes?
No, Bao is a man. He has a
Oh,
mustache.
okay. Oh, Bao is a man. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
I allow Bao into my presence and engage you in conversation. The weather and the snow.
Yes, the weather is a very interesting topic. I agree.
Yeah, if you want to put pronouns behind your name, would be good on the character sheet. And so it sounds to me like you're keeping to small talk, avoiding the bigger subject.
Oh yes.
I'm starting with small talk. I'm not avoiding it. I will allow Bei Wang to approach whatever he feels needs to be approached.
No, he feels that the weather is a very fine topic, and he can tell you very many things about the weather. He actually figures himself kind of an expert on the weather in these parts.
What is the, just so you know, what is in the climate right now? What is the?
Let's say autumn is always the most colorful of times. So let us say that it is autumn. It is fall.
Okay. So Dylan is, as you speak of the autumn, Dylan does speak of the winter, the coming winter, and the 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 spring that will follow.
Yes, Bao will nod sagely and stroke his long flowing mustache and tell him that always after winter, spring must follow if one has an eye to see the flowers.
And the two of you are still a ways outside of the village when up ahead you will hear the sound of fighting, like multiple people fighting. What do you do, Bao?
Well, there seems to be an altercation. I will move to there directly to see that no injustice is wreaked upon the poor people of this village, and then I will start moving after having declared this.
And you rush forward, Delan. Do you follow, or is your approach more circumspect?
Yeah, Dylan approaches and allows Bao to follow him.
So there's a kind of this then going on as you approach. You will see up ahead in the clearing that there is a Wulin warrior, bloodied from multiple wounds, kind of on his last leg, and surrounding him, you will see a group of, they appear to be bandits, and a leader who is kind of moving up on this figure in the center. He has a great club over his shoulder, big bushy beard, top not tied back, and he has some painting on his face, and he is moving in for what is clearly the kill here. Bao, what would you do?
Well, I will, of course, take issue with this action, and I will call out to him, "What is the meaning of this? Stand down!" And I will move myself so that I am in front of this Wulin warrior, and I will use my move because I have it, and I will stand in front of him without anybody even seeing me move.
And it is a blur, and then suddenly you're in front of him, and the group of bandits do kind of take a step back, shocked by this, and this bushy bearded guy, he takes a step back, but then kind of brings himself, to bear. What do you do, Dylan?
So first of all, I'm not entirely sure how. Okay, well, we can worry about that later.
Sure.
As I see Bao doing this,
mm-hmm.
I will go to the again. First of all, how is Wulin? What is Wulin? Does that just mean that it's like a certain type of trained monk, or I mean, like, how are you using Wulin in this?
Sure. So when I say Wulin, I'm actually talking about the Wulin society, the society of this factions and groups and things like that belong to sort of this world of the Wulin.
So it's just like a fellow countryman type.
Yeah, a fellow trained martial artist.
Okay. So I will. What state is this martial artist in?
Oh, he's about to die.
So he's on his feet. I mean, on his knees or on the ground, or
just barely keeping himself upright.
I help him. I go to him, and I put my hand on the back of his neck, and I say, "It's okay to rise." And I prick him with some sort of, if this is possible, ointment that gives him like a second breath, like a temporary vitality. That
enough
could
to be able
possibly
to
kill him in the
walk
long
and
run.
move. Okay,
What's that?
enough to him to be able to stand and walk.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Let's have you roll. I think that's since it's simple, trying to do something kind of under pressure. We're going to have you do an overcome move.
Okay.
We'll resolve that, and then I'm going to come back to Bao facing down this figure.
Okay, so I'm not sure how the different. I applied my points, but I'm not really sure how that.
Absolutely. Here's what
Yeah.
we do: is what we when we go to this is we look and see what chi you think is appropriate here. Is this about you being cautious? Is it about you doing it with speed? Is it about control? You look at those descriptors and you basically find what works for you. Now you might say to yourself, hey, why would I not always roll my best stat?
Right.
And that is because if you have a complication or a failure that arises from a roll, that is when you will probably, I'll have you mark that stat, which means you can't roll with it until you get that stat cleared. Your chi are both your stats and your damage track. So there is a little bit of a kind of a push your luck here with this.
Okay, so my intention is to potentially gain a new ally and bond, more so than actually saving this person.
Okay, yeah.
I can imagine that this ointment that I used on him could potentially kill him if he pushes himself too hard.
Oh, perfect. Well, let's have you roll comfort and support then. What chi do you want to roll with?
Well, it's more of a selfish type of trying to build a relationship. It almost kind of feels like wisdom and flexibility water, which is at -1.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll that.
Nine, 8.
So that is an 8, and you can create a bond with we'll say for the moment unnamed Wulin.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
I put my like I said, I put my hand on like the side of his face and I rub this ointment onto him, and his eyes kind of light up, almost like he just took a line of speed. And I say, it's okay. I don't know how I would talk to someone that's lesser than me, but I'm rise person and take your stand against these varmints. I don't know.
Yeah, barbarians. Yeah, you talk in a way that is clearly dismissive of these bandits.
Yeah.
And Bao, you will out of the corner of your eye, you will see that, and this warrior in front of you says, "Little scholar, you need to step aside."
I will smile at him, friendly, and say, I don't think you want to go there. And then I will draw my huge guandao and twirl it around a bit and maybe clip off a bit of his beard with it and look at him like, you don't want this.
And I think he is going to engage with you. He is going to move to fight you, even as the bandits, because Delon is back behind, are going to move in on Delon. And I'm going to cut away. We'll come back to that dual resolution here in just a moment.
Fight.
So Bountiful Providence, you have arrived in the village. And let me ask Ming, where are you that is unusual? Where you're not at the tofu shop. Where is it that's unusual that Bountiful Providence will find you?
He will find me at the hut where they sharpen knives and swords and stuff like that. The not the blacksmith, but like the guy who you bring your cleavers to, and he sharpens them. You know, you drop them off at night, and he sharpens them, and then you pick them up the next day or whatever. But it's like the guy with the whetstones and stuff.
Absolutely. Bountiful. You're not entirely enamored of Ming for some reasons, but what do you do?
Bountiful looks at that lots and approaches, not being conspicuous at all. Oh, if it is not mean, I'm surprised that you entrust your knives to another to sharpen.
I just kind of do a little bow, and I say, well, everyone knows that Keen Edge Yin here is the most skilled at this of any in the province, and so I have found that when we each do what we do best, everyone prospers.
Let me ask you this, Ming. This is kind of an awkward situation for you, right? Because you're well aware of the attention that the king has given you in the past, and this is the king's husband. Even though you know them, what's your feeling about that?
I think that I think that I am like in total I think it's total denial.
Okay. Trying not to rise up to that. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Like totally like if I act all the time like there's nothing going on, then no one will have cause to believe that there is anything going on.
And Bountiful,
propriety at all times.
Ming responds and kind of lets the conversation lapse. What do you follow up with?
So after this reply, Bountiful goes, "Oh, there's no doubt about the skill of one that advertises their wishes to serve with the whetstone. But, dear Ming, what will you say of someone that is so skilled but insists in hiding those skills? Will those not be enemies of the prosperity of all?"
And I kind of I sort of cock my head with this like quizzical, confused look. And I say, all of us know that there are, all of us know things that, if revealed, would be would harm the prosperity of all. Therefore, it is best to keep such things hidden.
Is he hitting pretty close to home?
Oh yeah, I think so. Sure,
well,
yeah.
I think that rises to the level of inner conflict.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Here's the good news: is you get to, because it's a short game, you get to mark XP whenever you roll inner conflict.
Fantastic. All right. So let me take a look at my moves here. So inner conflict. Roll anything but your style element.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pressure from one of your entanglements. This is pressure from one of my entanglements.
Yeah.
So my style element is earth. But I think that this is water, because flexibility in terms of like, well, but it's also like sometimes you tell the truth, sometimes you don't, and we have to decide based on what's best for the community there. So, so I'm going to do that, and let me do my roll for your party. So I'm just straight up roll. I'm rolling at 0.
If that's what your stat is, go ahead.
Yeah, that's water. Okay. I got a 7.
Got a 7. So you have a choice. You can mark your water, and stand strong, stay here, or you can essentially awkwardly try to flee the situation.
I think yeah, this is definitely like he says that thing about staying hidden. I respond with that, and then I just like I just nod to Keen Edge Yin, and I say, and I just like I left him like a couple of knives and a couple of cleavers or something like this, and I just take up the one cleaver that he's done and say, you know, my duties at the inn require my attention. I'll take this in return for the rest tomorrow. And I just kind of bow to Bountiful Providence and just kind of like flee the scene.
Flee the scene. So Bountiful Providence, you will see clearly you've unnerved Ming, and she takes off.
And I think I deliberately like trip over a bench on the way out, you know, to kind of like, there's no way I could possibly, you know, like awkwardly bump into somebody as I'm leaving and stuff. So
that seems perfect. And Bountiful, do you follow, or do you have other business that you want to look into here?
I think I'm gonna use my Smiling Proud Wanderer move to make a study question.
Okay.
So,
what question do you want to ask?
I want to ask, how can I impress Ming? Because I'm kind of not buying it.
So, is that a question that you wish to answer, Jim?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He can impress me by cooking for me. Like total, like there's going to be some food porn going on in this game, I think. Okay. So yeah, he can totally impress me like by showing off in the kitchen.
Perfect. You will take off. You kind of move down. Bountiful, you kind of make a few steps to follow. And of course, even though you're running, you're also still pretty aware of things, Ming. And as you kind of move past the mouth of this alley, you see a figure step out from it and steps and begins moving towards Bountiful. Bountiful, you've kind of stepped out of the knife sharpening hut, and this is kind of a back alley. And you will hear the crunch of stone behind you, and you will see a figure moving up on you from behind. Full wide hat with the veil that comes down to obscure their face. Hands on their belt. And this woman says, Bountiful Providence.
Hi there, friend. You seem to have me at disadvantage.
Well, I should hope so. And you can hear coming up now from behind you another person. And they move with that step, both these two in perfect sync. And you will see these two Wulin warriors moving in to close in on you. She says, the king has decided to clean up matters.
So that's going to kind of bring me to a stop. And I kind of glance over my shoulder. And I want to study what's going on.
Okay. Let's resolve your study, and then we will do Bountiful's action. So what do you want to roll study with?
This is metal.
Okay.
Because this is kind of very carefully, you know, seeing what's going on and trying to figure out how involved in this mess I should get.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, just a sec here. So metal's at a +1.
Okay.
6 + 1 gets me to 7.
7. So you get one question or declaration from study.
Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, I think the main question is what's their intent? Are they here to just kidnap him, or is this like a murder squad?
That you feel the energy from them, that they are not here for kidnapping, for any kind of gentle thing. They have clearly been sent to clear the board.
Okay.
And they are there for that. Bountiful.
Good information to have.
So Bountiful started with a crude smile, like, "Oh boy, finally, I'm making a name to myself. I got assassins sent after me." But then, at the moment they mention the king, he loses the smile, and he says, "Oh, I was hoping that if he had a matrimonial problem, he would have come in person." And he moves sideways the part of his clothing that are hiding the knife set.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to make this, or are you going to send a message?
I think also you've just heard that your husband has sent people to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have you please roll inner conflict?
So let's see the element that makes more sense. I'll say earth.
Okay, that seems good.
And it's a 6.
It is a 6. So you need to mark earth. And you're shaken.
Can I spend my bond to help him?
Well, bonds you spend for yourself.
Got it. Okay.
You could comfort and support him. You could make the roll on that to assist. You'd have to describe to me what you're doing.
No, I'll hold off. I wasn't sure whether I could spend the bond to just bump his roll.
And I think what happens is you're kind of shaken, and she takes advantage of that, and you can see her belt comes off, and she uses her whip, and she hits your knives and sends them flying, and they'll tunk, tunk, tunk into a wall up high, even as her sister comes in to close in. Together, they're definitely, if they are working together in tandem, they're definitely above your scale, and they're going to murder you. But we'll come back to that in just a second. Bow raises up this club, swings it around, and begins to come in at you. What does your response look like? What do we see here?
Well, I think Bao will just flow aside with a studied and elegant movement and cut with his gun. I have to look up what that's pronounced, what the word was, with his spear sword at his opponent to sever his arms from his club, maybe.
Let's see. So this foe is on your scale.
Cool.
So you're going to roll with your style element, and we'll see what happens.
Let's see. Yeah, I've got an 11.
Holy cow! So tell me what that looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Do I win this? And
you win on a 10+. You win, and
okay.
if you show mercy, you get to mark XP.
Ooh, nice. I love marking XP. So what that looks like is I will cut across his hands, so he will let go of the club, and then I will be at his side with a spear like this, pointing at his chest. I'm behind him at that point. I'll grab his beard, and then I'll cut off the beard, and I'll tell him, and then I'll tell him, you smell. You should go and take a bath, and maybe think about your life choices.
His club hits the ground. Blood is coming down. He looks at it. We see that on the screen, the bright red fake blood, and then shook, and his beard is gone, and his eyes get wide, and he's stammering. Even as this is happening, Delon, these henchmen come rushing in at you, clearly to get you out of the way. You're dressed to them like a courtier. They have no respect for the office that you apparently hold and for the loveliness of your clothing. What do you want to do, Delon?
I am the governor of the setting prefecture, and I command them to stand aside and or fall to my champion here, as I point to this Wulin man that just stood up, that they knew that they were just about to. I'm hoping to by referencing my setting prefecture, just bring the fear of the curse on them.
Well, now, so what that would normally be is there's actually a move for that in another one of the playbooks, to use the office of your authority to do that. So this would be a hearts and minds, kind of to make them hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you want to use the for your hearts and minds roll?
I think metal.
Then let's have you roll.
$10.
So that is a 10. So they definitely hesitate. Like they don't know what's going on. And then they hear the screams of their boss behind them. And they will look and take the excuse to grab their boss, rush over and grab their boss, and begin hustling him away. Do you let them go?
Yes. As they're going, I say, remember that my enemies. How do I put this? You cannot wash this curse from you that I have now. God, how am I trying to say that? I'm trying to impose my. Just scare the shit out of them
with the curse of your province.
Yeah.
Okay. You reference that, the fall of that, and they do their footsteps pick up as they realize that you must be a ghost, because everyone from that province is dead. And so they think they don't know what's going on, and they will move. And you see their boss is reaching back because they've left behind his club and his beard, even as they're hustling him away, and he looks distraught and upset. Bao, do you? I assume you let them go with this.
Yeah. I will drop the beard. That's gross, but well.
And this Wulin warrior will thank you. And has probably just seen you, Bao, probably not quite aware of what's going on with Delon. Who are you?
Well, I am Bao of the Water Falling Dragon sect. Who are you?
My name is Falling Blossoms. I was set upon by bandits here.
Well, they seem to have gone now. You seem to be not very well.
I will be fine. I will be fine. I should continue my way to the village. Thank you. And he makes to go and leave. Delan, bow.
Well, maybe we should go together, because that is my destination also.
You see him hesitate in that way that says that there's something up, that there's some reason he doesn't want you with him. But he kind of is shaking a little bit. And then he'll look over at Delan and sees Delan's outfit and says, who are you?
The blazon of the setting prefecture is clear on the chest, embroidered into his chest. And he says, I am Delan Ho. You will escort us to the village. What's that?
Because just the blood drains from his face. Sure. You say your name.
Yeah. You will escort us to the village. Thank you.
He steps closer to bow. Both a step for maybe you supporting him as he walks, but also maybe you protecting him from Delan.
I will totally ignore the whole implication of this. A, to save his pride, B, to not acknowledge that Delan might be a ghost, because I'm not too sure about that either, you know. He sometimes seems like a ghost.
And he will go to lead you in to town if you'll let him.
It's expected.
Okay.
What was his name? Falling Blossoms.
Falling Blossoms. And he will move you along. He seems decent enough. He is clearly scared of Delan as you move into town. We cut away from that moment back to these two assassins, the Foxheart sisters, a little fox and littler fox are moving in. One has disarmed our hero Bountiful of his knives, and the other one is moving in with darts to do that. What do you want to do, Ming?
Oh man.
You could leave him here. No one would know.
I could, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like throw my arms up and yell, hey, what are you doing? You know, people walk down this alley. What do you think? What sort of shenanigans do you think is going on here? And try and get the attention of other townspeople.
Okay.
To kind of crowd around so that this is not, so that they're like, you know, kind of like to kind of blow their cover and see if I can help him that way.
So let's do that. Hearts and minds.
Yeah.
With the bonus for working with the common folk, and essentially, if you succeed, you'll be able to pull at least one. Pull one of these off from him to even the odds. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that's completely reasonable.
Okay, let's. What do you want to roll that with?
I think this is fire, because this is like a spur of the moment trying to come up with a thing. I'm not great at stuff like this.
Yeah.
But I've got that +1 for working the common people, so that'll balance out my -1. So
almost no chance you could fail.
Yeah, of course. So I'm rolling even up on this. So let's see what happens. 10 on the dice. Nice.
So you go shouting, and the common people know your voice. They know your name, and this woman who is moving up with the darts. Suddenly, there are all these people around with sticks and pots and all this stuff, and they've come rushing into there. They don't they don't mean any real threat to her, but it is like
just in the way.
Yeah, the attention. So let's come to you, Bountiful. Bountiful. One of the sisters is blocked by a crowd, and the other one with the whip is going to come in at you. What do you want to do?
So I knew that the two of them would be superior.
Yes, that's what that was the GM telling you something. Yes.
Yeah.
But now one of them's pulled off. You might be able to take on.
Well, I guess bountiful providence. After this, he's going to take it down. Should not have done that, and he just pulls and starts trying to punch her down and get close so that the whip is at disadvantage.
Yeah, moving in quickly, you demonstrate that you still have skill unarmed and are getting in under the guard of the whip here. So she is on your scale. She's equal scale with you. So you can go ahead and roll with your style element.
11.
So how do you beat her? What does that look like?
So I get close, and she tries to pull down the length of the whip so that she can use it closer and throw it at my face. But she's going to whip my face and just grab her waist and give her a headbutt.
Okay.
And as she falls down, I pull out her whip and throw it away. See, it's not so nice when you throw out precious weapons of others. That was a wedding gift.
Do you want to show mercy? Do you want to let her go?
Yeah, because I kind of want her to tell a message.
Okay.
That King should come in person because this is bullshit.
So yeah, you get to mark XP, and we'll see her sister Lightfoot run along the wall over to where her sister's at, and much like the bandits pulled away the guy and he's reaching out for his club, we see her getting pulled away and reaching out for her whip, even as they rush off here. And the crowd is one around the cattle, you know, they're all over here trying to find out what's going on. And now I'm going to bring two things together, if I may. You two have arrived in the village, Bao, Delan, and just as you get inside sort of the bounds of the village, you will see this crowd and noise and like hubbub and furor going on, and you will see a pair of figures leaping across the rooftops away from where this crowd is at. Bao, what would you do?
Seems to be an eventful day today. I don't know what has. They might have stolen the scroll.
Yes. Could pursue them.
Yeah, I think I would maybe, go after them. I will tell Falling Blossoms to go to the Ming's tofu shop for the best tofu in the whole of Wulin. And then I will bow to Dylan, see you, and then I will run after them.
Okay, so you take off. We see you Lightfoot in pursuit. We'll come back to that in just 1 second. Dylan, what do you want to do?
How far is this from Ming's tofu?
The tofu shop is much further in town. This is sort of on the outskirts.
I allow Falling Blossom the privilege to escort me to the tofu shop through the throng of people, so that they have to part in front of me, and I'm like, people are seeing the setting prefecture, the governor of the setting prefecture.
And So I think then Ming, Bountiful, you kind of caught your breath. The crowd is around. It looks like this is going to be the talk, but then suddenly you hear even more hubbub coming this way. And you will see this figure kind of keeping his head down, like doesn't want to be noticed, somewhat injured, and behind him a resplendent Delon, and the crowd's like, what is going on? And so what would you say or do, Bountiful?
I will approach the man escorting the wounded warriors, and I will open my heart as I make a big grin. Welcome, friends. It seems that the road has been harsh on you.
And what do you do, Ming? Because you see Delon there, not subtle at all.
I kind of blanch, like I kind of like I get a little like trepidatious look, and then I immediately cross over, cross over to Delon, and kind of like stand close enough to him that I'm kind of blocking the symbol on his, on the front of him from where everyone else can see. And I say, Delon, I am surprised to see you here. You should be, and like, like that kind of like, even though we're surrounded by people, I can whisper in a way that only he can hear, right?
Absolutely.
And I say, there are still those who would wish to do you harm. You're creating disorder by so openly displaying the garb of your people. Come with me, and I will help you to blend in. And so I'm just this is Hearts and Minds. I'm trying to pressure him to cool it.
Okay, so let's have you do your Hearts and Minds roll.
Okay.
We'll see what that is, and then I'm going to cut back to Bao.
I assume he's susceptible to my words. So what I'm trying to get them to do is to like chill out and come with me. So let's see. And I'm rolling. What am I rolling on?
Hey, tell me.
Oh, okay. That's just I pick one. I think this is going to be yeah, this is definitely Earth, because this is all about being cautious and like I said,
and the relevant bit for Hearts and Minds is the bottom paragraph for the PCs. The other stuff is for NPCs. Yep. So let's have you roll.
7 and 2 gets me to a 9.
Okay. So, Delon, do you wish to bow to Ming's request? This woman who you've fallen in love with?
I blush briefly, but that's, I think, just a trick of the light. And so, if it's possible, yeah, I will do that. But I want to do this in a way such that perhaps it pulls in on either imposter or reign of assassins, where I suddenly like blend into the crowd. So there was a ghost, and then all of a sudden he vanished.
Gone. Yeah, like the cape is turned inside out, that kind of thing. Perfect. Yeah. Mark XP. Bow. You have the move that allows you to get right in front of them.
Yes, that's what I will do, actually.
and essentially they've landed on this tiled roof, and then suddenly you're in front of them, and they do bring themselves up short, and they kind of stand to, hands at attention.
Good afternoon, my dear ladies. What an auspicious time to meet on the rooftops of this lovely village. May I introduce myself? My name is Bao Wang of the Waterfalling Dragon sect. And who might you be?
We are the Foxhearth sisters. What is it you wish?
Well, I wish what I would. I would wish for the love of my life to come with me, but the prophecy is against us. Still, that is not pertinent here, is it? No, I would wish to know what you are doing here in this lovely village, running over the rooftops with such unseemly haste.
Let's have you. They are kind of on edge because they've just been pushed out of here. So I think this is going to be hearts and minds.
Yes, I think I want to do this with maybe Earth because that's presence.
That makes sense.
Cool. So rolling. Yeah, wow. This guy can roll. I've got a 10.
So they say we were, and they clearly like there's no need for them to hide it. Their cover has been blown. We were sent by the River King to deal with an obstacle.
This would not involve the written word of the ancients, would it? Your obstacle.
They make a face like they have no clue. You say this and they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. No, he's a cook.
Oh. Well, that sounds like maybe it is not for me to get into the middle of this, and maybe, as if I might suggest it, maybe not for you either. But that's just me meddling in things where I'm not wanted. Have it be on your way, sweet ladies, and please do not remove this obstacle because I kind of like it. Okay. And I would not want to be at odds with you.
And then you blur away, and we'll cut to one of the sisters kind of watching you with kind of awe as you go away in that way that you clearly make her heart flutter. And her sister goes, "Stop it!" And they will take off, worried now because they need to return to the River King and report their failure. Bountiful, do you follow Ming and the ghost back to the tofu shop?
Actually, no.
Okay.
I see this happening and I say, well, it seems that she has interesting company. And as if nothing happened, I go back and try to shop ingredients to go back to cooking.
Okay. Yeah, you can certainly go and look around and gather things and attempt to be a little less obvious. Okay. You will be, unmolested the rest of this little shopping trip here for the moment until the River King gets told about the failure. Let's do a quick cut to Ming and Delon arriving back at the tofu shop.
And Falling Blossom is still with us. Yes.
For the moment, yes.
Yeah.
He's been clearly like he wants to leave. Doesn't want to be here anymore.
I sit down, and of course he puts the chair in behind me.
Out of pure habit.
Yeah.
He will say, "I must go."
No. And like I hold up a hand, and like, no, you are clearly, please, you must eat. and I like pause, and I kind of like sort of like put a hand on his shoulder. Yes, no, you're yes, you're clearly, you need nourishment. You've been on the road. You're hurt.
Sweet, lovely Ming.
And you will sit him down, and he puts his head down and will clearly wait for the tofu to arrive.
So I bustle off into the kitchen, and there's like sounds of like chopping and frying and like stuff going into pots and everything. And I return.
Why did that take so long?
I ignore my grandmother.
Ignore me. Ignore me. That's how the granddaughters are. Dude, they're just terrible. They're terrible people. If only I had a dutiful and filial granddaughter who would actually listen to the words I say. We hear that out of the kitchen.
Exactly. And I come back out, and there's half a dozen people in the restaurant that have been waiting and stuff like that. So I come back out from the kitchen with that thing where I've got like, 4 bowls along one arm, and like my fingers splayed to hold 2 more. And I do that like shing, shing, zing, zing, and kind of just like sort of very kind of gracefully, I'm like slinging it out to everybody. And I've got like a dozen chopsticks like through my braid, and as I like put the bowls down, I like snap the chopsticks out of my braid into each bowl, and I finally come with the 2, and I lay one down in front of Delon, and I put the other down in front of Falling Blossoms, whose like head has been down the whole time, and like I haven't seen his face, right? But when I put the bowl down in front of him, like his lovely features are reflected in the soup. And that's when I like see him clearly for the first time. And like, I get that like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Now we kind of pushed aside the messy hair out of his face. You can see that. He's played by Eric Chang. Beautiful man.
And like I'm kind of just like holding the chopsticks like normally I just sling the chopsticks right into the soup, but I like am holding them like suspended above it because I don't want the ripples to break the reflection.
Mm-hmm. And Delon, of course, from your point of view, all of this is done in soft focus. The light just hits Ming perfectly as she does this. We might even see you watching it in slow motion.
My braid kind of swirls around as this stuff happens and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm confused as to who Falling Blossom is.
This is the wounded warrior that you brought back.
Yeah, but what is? I'm getting this.
Ming is making eyes at this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm clearly struck by seeing his pretty young face.
Okay, so this is a new thing. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm dumbfounded. And
does this rise to the level of inner conflict, or can you hold yourself together? Do we need a roll on that?
Yeah. This is because this buffoon who owes an allegiance to me now,
right,
is now making moves on this woman that clearly is meant for me, though it cannot be requited. Therefore, she cannot have anything requited.
Exactly. Let's have you roll. What do you want to roll for your inner conflict?
Passion.
Yeah,
passion.
Okay. Well, you get to mark XP because you're rolling inner conflict. That's a benefit, and let's have you roll.
$11.
Oh, look at you holding yourself together in the face of this. You don't have to mark any chi. You can kind of decide how you want to respond.
I allow this to initiate, and then I attempt to break the connection between Ming and Falling Blossom, and it's Ming. I always appreciate your wisdom, your counsel. It's and so I'm trying to like bring her attention to me.
So you kind of step in the way,
Yeah.
kind of shift things so that the line of sight is blocked there.
Yeah.
I think that's the point at which Bao, you were headed to the tofu house, right?
Yeah, of course.
Then I think you will come in to this tableau. You will see Ming kind of making eyes at this guy that you rescued.
What? What?
And then you see lean into frame. Delon kind of scoots in the way.
Well, that must be the prophecy striking out.
Yeah, that's all it could be.
Yeah. I'm standing there staring at her wistfully, standing in some people's way.
And Delon breaking in breaks the spell, and I drop the chopsticks into the soup with a little splash, and kind of looked, like my cheeks are flushed, and I look up and I say, and I kind of do a little bow. Master Bao, you honor our humble restaurant with your presence. Please, I've set aside your usual table, and then bustle back into the kitchen, to kind of clear my head to make Bao some, to make a dish for Bao. What's your favorite that I know to make you?
I think my favorite is something very spicy. I'm usually more of a water guy, but in my food I like spice.
Okay, sure. So we can smell the whatever, like the Hunan style coming from him back there.
Pungent, eyes watering smell of the spice. I want to cut away from that scene, and I want you to tell me, because Ludo, you're in for this session. You may be back if we have a drop later on, but I want you to tell me what we see of Bountiful Providence. Where does Bountiful Providence go from here?
So, Bountiful Providence. I would like to have a scene now stepping at the most inopportune moment with some of his cooking to impress Ming to escalate things further.
Absolutely. What have you prepared?
So I got some seasonal pumpkins, and because of my ties to the river pirates, I made some tide crabs that have been cooked with their own eggs.
Do you come in the front, or do you go right into the kitchen to present this to Ming?
I go right into the kitchen.
The grandmother goes, ah! Makes that sound when somebody comes in the kitchen. Ming, there is Bountiful Providence.
And I like cluck at my grandmother and say, this is our friend, Bountiful Providence. He's what? And I see what he's brought, and I see that he's got like a steamer with the lid on, right?
Grandmother's eyes get wide. Someone has brought outside food into her kitchen. She is furious.
I say, Bountiful, what are you doing? Why are you? What is this?
I bring the seasonal gifts, the fruits of the earth and the fruits of the sea. What better way to seal friendship between cooks?
This is not the time or the place. I can't believe that you would. I'm preparing food right now. Why would you do this?
because a cook also needs to eat, and the cook that cooks for another deserves to be cooked for.
So, do you lift the lid off?
Yes.
That's inner conflict, because I see it, I smell it.
Absolutely.
It's so delicious that like I can't. Yeah, okay. So let me. And this is this is wood,
Okay.
because that's curiosity. I'm so curious about what's going on here. But I'm gonna try and resist it. So let me roll at +1. That's a 12.
That is a 12. You keep yourself together. Keep yourself calm.
All right.
Okay.
And I like point out into the restaurant and I say, that doesn't belong in the kitchen. Take it outside and I will meet you out there. My grandmother, you are disrespecting my grandmother with this.
What do you do, Bountiful? Do you go out?
I'm thinking if this triggered my inner conflict or not.
Let's see. I don't think this rises to hitting your entanglements there.
Okay.
So much. You get to kind of decide what you want to do.
So, okay. So I turn to the grandmother and I bow deeply to her. Please, I meant no disrespect. And I just back away and step outside.
Okay. So you will step outside. Your grandmother looks at you with that hawk eyes. You know, she can smell what you're cooking. She knows what that spiciness means. She knows it means that Bao is here. And her teeth grate audibly, like, and you can hear them grate as you do that. And we are kind of up against time here. So I do want to stop there. I want to throw one last thing. I want to throw one last grenade into the room here, as it were. Delon, Bao, Bao, you've sat down. You see Delon is kind of looking at the guy that you rescued, maybe a little less respectfully. And you'll see this guy, he's quickly eating his tofu, and you will note him kind of trying to keep tuck away a badge in his inner shirt that marks him as an agent of Shadowed Saber.
Who sees this?
Bao does.
Okay.
And that's where we'll start
nice.
out next time, if that's okay with you guys.
Cool.
So what I want to tell you is, so at the start of the next session, what we'll do is we'll look at everybody's entanglements. If you need to change them, if you want to revise them, we're always going to start sessions with the opportunity to change those around, reword them. If we've had players in and out, you can make changes based on that. I just want to tell you that those are flexible at the start of session. So what I would normally do now is I would normally look at your entanglements. We would have highlighted one, and that one, if you hit it, you would have gotten 3 XP. And then the other one you would get 1 XP for. But because I am a generous and humble GM, I'm going to give all of you the full 4 XP. So all of you can mark 4 additional XP on top of whatever you have. And so we'll start next time with a check-in. We'll check in on entanglements. We'll check in on the moves if you're happy with the moves and the stats and all of that kind of stuff. We'll do all that kind of check-in, see if there's anything you definitely want to see, whatnot. I hope that's okay. Ludo, thank you for coming in. It was nice to play with you again.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I mean, you hear so much about this game. I really wanted to try, and it was really amazing.
Well, I will give you a heads up at something, because at some point I want to play with you in a game that we're in all the sessions together, because Ludo was in and out of SCUP. Ludo died in the first session of SCUP and then came back as his same character in a horrible form in the last session of SCUP and killed me. So It was good fun. Thank you all. Sabine, enjoyed to play with you. Alejandro as well. And if you have any questions during the week about things, feel free to send those on, and I'll be glad to answer them. I'm going to stop the broadcast.